a woman accidentally discovered that her husband, who had been dead for 7 days, was still growing a beard. She instantly realized that he might still be alive. However, she didn't say a word. Instead, she had him stuffed into a coffin right away. To ensure his quick burial, she deliberately summoned his relatives, announced an immediate funeral, and had him buried as soon as possible. The reason she did this was because in her previous life, she had been deceived the same way. Back then, her husband left to take the imperial exam, but soon after, news of his death arrived. Heartbroken, she believed it without question, and raised their son alone. 18 years later, her son became the top scholar in his high school, but secretly poisoned her soup. Just as she was about to confront him, her husband, who had been dead for 18 years, brazenly walked into the house with a scheming woman. Only then did she realize her husband had faked his death to deceive her, and the son she painstakingly raised had known the truth all along. Looking at this family, hatred consumed her, but the poison had already taken effect. She had no strength left to resist, and in the midst of their mocking laughter, she unwillingly closed her eyes. Perhaps even the heavens couldn't bear to see her suffering, for she was reborn, back to the very day she received the news of her husband's death. Staring at her youthful reflection in the mirror, she swore to herself that this time, she would make them pay 10-fold, 100-fold, for everything they had done. Just like before, her maid brought back the news of her husband's death. She feigned shock, then burst into tears. Little did they know, this time, she would make sure her husband truly died. She then walked into the main hall, where she saw her mother-in-law and son kneeling and wailing, pretending to be overcome with grief. She lifted the shroud covering her husband's body, and began pounding on his chest, then slapped him wildly across the face. Her mother-in-law, fearing she might actually kill him, quickly urged her grandson to hold her back. When the woman saw fingerprints appearing on her husband's face, she declared that he must still be alive, and insisted on calling a doctor immediately. Her mother-in-law quickly lied, saying he had just died not long ago, so his body hadn't stiffened yet, and that's why his face still showed marks. But the woman persisted, arguing that if there was even a chance he was still alive, they had to be sure. Enraged, her mother-in-law accused her of not believing them. She insisted that all the best doctors had already confirmed his death. The woman immediately apologized, claiming she was just being overly suspicious. But in truth, this was exactly what she wanted her mother-in-law to say. Without delay, her mother-in-law ordered the servants to carry the body away, and the woman prepared to leave as well. But just as she was about to go, her mother-in-law stopped her, claiming that all the family's money had been spent on her husband's exam, and that there was no silver left in the house. She demanded that the woman hand over her dowry to cover the expenses. Of course, the woman knew exactly what she was up to. She simply wanted to take the dowry and use it to fund her fake dead son's lavish life. The woman coldly pointed out that her husband had just died, yet her mother-in-law felt no grief at all and was already thinking about her dowry. Wasn't that a bit too heartless? Her mother-in-law immediately lashed out at her, but this time, the woman was determined not to repeat the mistakes of her past life. That night, she came up with a brilliant plan. She willingly handed over all her dowry to her maid and had her deliver it to her mother-in-law. Tomorrow's show would be one her mother-in-law